I'm back. Week 2 of my vlog. To be honest, it was touch and go. I ummed and ahed about it. If something's touch and go, it means it's uncertain. And if you and ah, it means you procrastinate and you're undecided about something. But here I am. I decided to step out of my comfort zone, which is a kind of motto that I keep on using this year, and show up. Brief introduction if you don't already know me. I'm Jo, and I work with people who want to improve their confidence speaking English as a second plus language. I already upload English lessons every Sunday, but I wanted to start a weekly vlog, which was a little bit more personal and gives me the opportunity to witter on about things that I'm interested in, and gives you an opportunity to practice your English listening skills, introducing you to some new vocabulary, expressions and language that you might not have encountered before. I'm going to be honest, I'm a bit wiped out. It's been a long day. I've been in London at appointments today, and then when I got home, my dog looked at me with those loving eyes but saying, please can we go for a long walk in the miserable pissing British rain? And how could I refuse? Before I forget, I'm creating a PDF that you can download on my website with a full transcript of today's vlog, along with a vocabulary list, some of the phrases, expressions and vocabulary that I've used in today's vlog that I thought you might find useful. Going back to what I was saying before, I'm a bit knackered. To use an idiom, I've been burning the candles at both ends. One of the reasons I think that I feel particularly tired today is because I live with a chronic illness. A chronic illness is a long-term illness or disease, and usually chronic illnesses can be controlled, but they can't be cured, so that they're something you live with over the course of your life. I got diagnosed with an autoimmune disease called rheumatoid arthritis when I was 11 years old. Rheumatoid arthritis affects the joints, so my knees, my elbows, my hips, all my joints. And generally my illness is quite well controlled with a weekly injection that I do myself at home. But just lately it's been flaring slightly. If your illness is flaring, it means it's not so well controlled, and often in the case of autoimmune diseases, this means that there's some sort of inflammation, pain and fatigue, tiredness. In autoimmune disease, as many of you probably already know, the immune system is attacking the body. Across the world, there are loads and loads of people living with chronic illness. They can range from anything from cancer to epilepsy, diabetes, fibromyalgia. The list is kind of endless. Obviously, with any chronic illness, getting professional medical advice and treatment where possible is vital. But over the years, I've come to the conclusion that there are things that I can do, things that are within my control, that I can do to manage my illness. I guess you could call them lifestyle factors. Getting adequate rest, nutrition, exercise, self-care. None of these things are going to make the illness go away, but they can make life a bit more comfortable. Now, as yet, as my friend who is a nutritionist would probably tell you, I haven't nailed the nutrition side of things. I haven't taken control of that. I still eat quite a lot of crap, to be honest. I'd be lying if I didn't admit that it was all still a work in progress. But I think living with a chronic illness for decades now means that I know a little bit more about it, and I know what triggers things and what can sometimes lead to flare-ups. Flare-ups are when it gets particularly bad. In my case, flare-ups are often in the form of inflammation, which means swelling in my joints, a lot of pain and a lot of tiredness. There's a lot of advice on the internet of how to manage autoimmune diseases. Some of it, I think, needs to be taken with a pinch of salt, which means you shouldn't believe everything you read immediately. But I think there's some really good information out there. And the internet can certainly be a brilliant resource for bringing together people who are experiencing similar conditions, making you feel less isolated. One of the most important things that I've found in managing my rheumatoid arthritis is getting adequate rest, adequate sleep. One of the many things that I love about working online so much is that it gives me some autonomy and flexibility when it comes to my schedule. I can pace myself, and I think pacing yourself is really important when it comes to living with a chronic illness. If you have a chronic illness yourself, Google spoon theory. I won't go into it in here because it's a bit complicated to explain, but it certainly gave me a fresh perspective on how I manage my health. In a nutshell, spoon theory is a way of describing living with chronic illness and its limitations, and it was a term coined not by a doctor but by somebody called Christine Miserendino, I think, who herself suffers from lupus. It's also a really good way of explaining chronic illness to other people. So over to you. If you or somebody you're close to experiences one of these illnesses, can you, in the comments, give a tip or a piece of advice you would offer based on your own experience? Not medical advice, but rather living advice, lifestyle advice. I think for me it would be to not let the illness define me. It's a part of who I am, but it's not my identity. And the other bit of advice that I would offer is to ask for help when you need it. Now, I need to listen to my own advice a little bit more here. I'm notoriously bad at asking for help, but it's something that I'm working on. I've got to admit that I'm completely out of my comfort zone, spilling my guts on the internet. But like I said at the beginning, it's important to step out of your comfort zone sometimes. A lot of my students are stepping out of their comfort zone every time they speak English, but it gradually gets easier. In next week's vlog, I'm going to talk about something a little bit more upbeat, about some of the shows that I've been enjoying on Netflix so far this year, and looking at the language that we can use to talk about TV and film. If that sounds like your kind of thing, like your cup of tea, then make sure you subscribe. And remember, there's a PDF to download on my website with a full transcript and vocabulary list from today's vlog. Thank you for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time.